Welcome back. I'm out here in the garage. It's first week of March and still got about a month or so before the ice goes away here in northern Iowa, before the fishing season begins. But usually it's about this time when I start getting my gear ready. And today what I'm going to do is get my rods and reels cleaned up and oiled up and ready to go. And it doesn't need to be a complicated thing. It's real simple. I'm going to show you how I do it. As you can see, I got quite a few rods here that I need to clean up. Let me show you how I do it. And this stuff really only applies to spinning reels. 99% of my reels are spinning reels. Bait casting reels are kind of a different world, but this is how I maintain my spinning reels. So the first step that I do is to clean off all the dirt and fish scales and bait and whatever might be stuck to the reels and the rods from last year. I don't do that at the end of the year. Some people do it at the end of the year. At the end of the year, I just put them away, and then I clean them up in the spring before the new season starts. This is a reel that I just finished wiping down. As you can see, it looks pretty clean. The rod handle as well. You know, I just kind of wiped it down. Let me show you what. Here's the one that I haven't done yet. And as you can see, the reel's just got a lot of junk on it, dust, fish scales. Same with the rod. There's some shad scales on there, dirt. It's just dirty. And all I'm going to do to clean that up is just use a wet rag. This is just damp rag with water, and it's just damp enough, you know, it's not going to come dripping out. Just damp. I don't use any cleaning supplies, just a damp rag. And just start at this end of the rod and just start cleaning off all that dirt. And the most important thing to clean off really is the eyes. As you can see, this eye has got all sorts of dirt and gunk and fish slime and stuff on it. And that's just one season's worth of buildup. I clean these off every year. If you never do that, you're gonna get a bunch of buildup. And also, if you have inserts in your eyelets, like this does not have inserts, but if you have inserts, check those, because those can be cracked or even missing, and that'll cause you big problems with your line. But I've got all stainless steel one-piece inserts. I fish almost exclusively with ugly stick rods, so that's not an issue for me. But as you can see, this is pretty gunky, and it's just as simple as giving a little wipe with a damp rag, get that junk off of there, and there we are. Just 5 seconds, just wipe it off, shiny, just like new. And I'm just going to do that same thing, just work my way up the rod. I'm going to wipe the junk off the middle of the rod, then stop at each eyelet, just give that a clean all the way to the end of the rod. Here's the eyelet of the one I just did. Here's the one that I haven't done yet. Lots of buildup. I've seen people talk about different cleaners that they like to use to clean their rods and reels and stuff, and I'm not a big believer in that. I think that's just an excuse to sell you something you don't need. Just a damp cloth works good, and I think if you're using a cleaner, you probably run the risk of doing more harm than good, really, because if you get that stuff on your line, it's probably going to hurt your line for one thing. But I don't know, just a damp rag. And then I'll come back, just clean this handle end here. Generally, I don't really bother cleaning the butt end of the rod at all, unless it's like really nasty, got a lot of mud on it or something like that. But just dirt or fish scales or stuff, I don't really care if this part gets dirty. So I don't know, if you want to clean it, go ahead. I don't. And for the reel, unless I've dropped the reel in the lake or something, if this has been submerged in water or something, obviously I might want to do a little more, but that's not the case. I didn't drop it out at the boat, didn't drop it in the lake at all last year, so I'm just going to do the similar thing that I did with the rod, and I'm just going to give it a good wipe down. First I'm going to start with the spool and just wipe off all the fish scales and the dirt and slime and whatever's on there. Make sure to get the bail wire and the arms that hold up the bail wire. And I don't take the line off or anything, and just clean a little one section of the spool here, then give it a spin, clean, spin, clean. Now I do not disassemble my reels either. If they haven't been dunked in the lake or anything like that, I do not disassemble it. And sometimes I really don't think you need to, even if that happens. These reels, especially spinning reels nowadays, they're sealed pretty well. And unless you're submersing them in the lake, they're going to stay clean on the inside, and you'd probably, again, be doing more harm than good by trying to pry these covers off and disassemble it. So all I'm doing is just giving a good wipe down on the outside of the reel casing, and then I'll give the reel seat a good wipe too, just to get that junk out of there. And that's it as far as cleaning goes. Next step is to put a little reel oil in there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the spool off now. I'll show you underneath that spool. Guarantee it's not hardly dirty under there at all. Probably doesn't even really need to be cleaned. Yeah, it's not really dirty under there at all. And like I said, I don't disassemble my reels because they're sealed up. The inside, the gearbox is full of grease. Unless you submerge them, I don't think you really need to. And you can spend all day doing that if you want, but I don't do that. And I just use regular old reel. This was the label fell off, but this was like, I think, some generic Bass Pro Shop reel oil. Nothing special. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the handle off here. That'll expose the other two bearings that I want to oil. So really the only spots I oil on these reels is the two bearings, this bearing that's in here, and then there's another one on this side. And then I oil these two moving points as well, where the bail flips up and down. I'll put a little bit of oil in there, and then I'll put like one drop on this post right here, and then reel it a couple times because this goes up and down. It's already got grease on it, as you can probably see, but I usually put one drop of oil there. In all these places, less is more. One drop, one drop, one drop, one drop, one drop. So like I said, in this bearing and the handle right here, one drop. Flip it over. This bearing for the handle here, one drop. I'm going to flip the bail open and then just one drop on each of the two hinges where the bail moves. And I'm just going to move this back and forth a couple times so that oil will work itself down in there. And then, like I said, one drop on this post, and I'll just hold that vertically so it'll drain down into that where the post slides up and down there. And that's it for oil. I'm going to put the handle back on and put the spool back on. And one other thing that I kind of just take a peek at real quick is these drag discs in the spool. These are oiled ones. Well, they're greased actually. Well, they're greased actually. I don't know if you can see the grease, but I just check, make sure they're greasy looking. If they're just carbon fiber ones, then there's nothing to do at all, but I guess you need to replace those once in a while. But generally, I just peek at this, don't mess with it unless it starts giving me problems. And of course, this underside of the spool, where the little clicker noise maker there, generally doesn't really get dirty ever, unless I, of course, drop the reel in the lake. Oh, I forgot. There's one more bearing to oil, and that's the bearing that controls that spinning handle right there. And just like all the rest of them, just one drop on there. Those silver reels really weren't that dirty. Here's these black ones I use quite a bit more. Here's a before. Here's one I haven't done yet. As you can see, it's pretty grimy. Here's the one that I just did. Just this yearly, wipe down just makes a big difference. Because if you don't do this, it just builds up year after year. And next thing you know, you're fishing with something that's is basically a piece of garbage. So that's just the simple springtime rod and reel maintenance that I do every year. Basically 2 steps: wipe down, lube up. And I've got about 10 or 12 more rods to go, so I'm going to get going. But I don't know, hope you found that useful. Rod maintenance doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Thanks for watching, I appreciate it. See you on the next one.